Hello, welcome to my channel. This is a book review of the philosophy book, Big Ideas Simply Explained. As always, if you are interested in this book, there is a link in the description below. This is a survey on philosophy, the history of it, the discussion of it, and the explanation of it, and also the history of the philosophers themselves. This book is incredibly well written in a non-biased way. This is a collaboration of many authors and contributors who have worked together with DK London Penguin Random House Publishing. And so I was shocked at how great of a job they were able to articulate the different views and philosophies without indicating which ones were better or for worse. They really let the reader decide for themselves what they thought about the philosophies while letting them work through the information that was presented. And so I thought that they would exclude the discussions from those philosophies that blended with religion. I thought right off the bat this philosophy book is probably going to exclude Christian philosophers and Muslim philosophers, but no, both Western and Eastern, and so I was wrong. This book gives a fair due to these different ideas and religions, to Greek mythology philosophers, to Eastern philosophies, which are actually more philosophical than religion, and then Western philosophies like Christianity and Islam that are far more religious than philosophical, though philosophical nonetheless. And so in this book there are political philosophies discussed, economic philosophies, moral philosophies, metaphysical philosophies, and philosophies about philosophies. There are so many things in this book that I didn't realize that philosophy was such a broad topic about thinking and the way that we think, rather than just being just a subsection of literature. It is so much more than that. And so one of my favorite things about this book is the simplicity of finding what you're looking for. Rather than the one long story to break apart what you need to find the philosopher or a movement or an idea, each philosopher has his own section that can be as short as a single page or as long as 8 to 10 pages. And so here is an example of Michael de Montaigne. And so as you can see here, here you go. You guys can see the start and the finish. And so it looks like he has 2 pages. There's key works, there's a history of him, there's famous quotes, and there's graphs and charts. And so you can go on to other people, Thomas Hobbes, who said man is a machine, and you can go on and on throughout this book. There is such an amazing example, so easy to find. One of my favorite things is the graphs that give you timelines of when these philosophies took place, as well as proper introductions that bridge the gap between these thoughts. So these philosophies are grouped in a timeline that helps you see the history of these ideologies in the proper context. So where am I going with this? This is a book both of ideas and of history, and if you're interested in learning more about this world and why we think what we think, I highly recommend this book. That is why I read this book. I've read this book in its entirety, and I'm still thinking of reading it again soon. They offer great suggestions on books to read next if you're interested in a certain topic of philosophy, not to mention the works of the philosophers themselves. I'll also say that I'm impressed with the history of philosophy that is current. Conventional wisdom, maybe that philosophy is an old thing that is done far less, but the farther along you actually get into the present time, the more and more philosophy that there is to uncover, even the ideas that are going on right now. And so especially in the 20th century, actually there's a section that divided the 20th century in half because there's so many philosophies that were going on in that time. And so there are over 100 philosophers covered in depth, as well as a directory of additional minor philosophers with a few paragraphs each that did not have their own page. There are footnotes that help you see which philosophers are in relation to other philosophers. This is directory. As you can see, philosophers have their own section. I just want to read one part here. I was like, wow, this was even just one of the minor philosophers. Anaximenes of Miletus, year 585 through 528 BC. He was the first thinker on record to use observed evidence to support his ideas. Or even another philosopher, Anaxagoras, sentenced to death for impiety after insisting that the sun was a fiery rock. So a lot of funny things there, but just to end here, I want to read off a few of the philosophers that are there. These are all in chronological order of history. So you have people like Thales of Miletus, Lao Tzu, Pythagoras. So even mathematicians are considered philosophers. Siddhartha, I'm butchering that name, but basically the Buddha. Confucius, Heraclitus, Parmenides, Protagoras, Mozi, Democritus, and Leucippus. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Epicurus, Diogenes of Sinope, Zeno of Sidon, Saint Augustine of Hippo, so one of the great Christian philosophers, Boethius, Avicenna, Saint Anselm, Averroes, Moses Menimes. So we're getting into some of the Muslim philosophers. Thomas Aquinas, another Christian philosopher. Nicolai Machiavelli, so the Prince. These are some political philosophers. You go on later on, Blaise Pascal, Karl Marx, even Friedrich Nietzsche. So you go on and on and on. There are so many philosophers. Basically, you think of the great thinkers throughout history, and you're going to be learning about them in this book. This video was longer than I anticipated. Thank you for watching. If you stayed till the end, please give me a like and a comment down below what you thought of this book review. If you guys would like me to give any other reviews on any other books, please let me know. Highly recommend this if you are a thinker like myself. Thank you for watching.